Yep. What's up, everybody? And welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About It. I'm your host, Twist Johnson. So grab a substance or your drinks and stay sober minded, if you will. With that being said, let's start the show. If you're feeling my vibe, like, share, and subscribe. You can catch me down in all the descriptions that I will leave down below. And before we get into this handsome young man inside of the camera with me, we got the current events that nobody asked for. I've been watching the styles that's been going on. I've been asking the young ladies and young men what's been going on. Baggy clothes is coming back. I did a little digging, did some research, and I seen inside the hip hop scenes that this has been going on. This is a cross reference current events that came from The Guardian, Girl Talk, Men's Clothes Wearing, and it says yes. Baggy clothes are back in style as of later 2023. It had an impact on a widespread adoption back to oversized styles during the lockdown. So they're saying that the pandemic is responsible for this change in styles. Returning back into society, no one wanted to get dressed anymore because we weren't going anywhere but to the store and back. So it goes on to say the 90s look of Van Sins, oversized bomber jackets, baggy denim jeans with Timberland boots or lugs. I notice people that I follow on social media that I am a fan of when it comes to the rap culture. Joel Santana, he had on some baggy jeans and I was confused. Then I seen Jim Jones with an oversized Pele Pele, the butter sauce. If you guys are from the tri-state, you know what that means. But for everyone on the outskirts, it's a Pele Pele leather jacket. And then I seen Lil Wayne had an oversized white T-shirt with some baggy jeans on. I remember when the tight jeans era actually came into effect, and that was back in the early 2000s. That's 2004 or 5 to be exact. We started out with 7 jeans, and it quickly gravitated to Noonies, True Religions. What else was out there? Antique jeans. If you were in the Harlem and the Bronx era at that point, and you had the Mermont and you had the Mermont hat with the ACGs to go, and that was the birth of the tight jeans again. Then it went a little further to the skinny jeans, and everybody was rocking the punk rock styles. Shout out to the 90s coming back. That's the current events that nobody asked for. You gotta introduce this person in the camera with me.
Pedal to the metal, then I'm going 100 miles an hour like I'm running from the law. Not chasing me, but accelerator to the floor. Rebel since I was born, so I don't care if this is wrong. Other rappers is traffic, y'all all up in my way. I'm speeding, please get the hell up out this lane. Ain't gotta let me pass, kiss my ass on the tag.
What's up, y'all? My name is James McCrae. You may have known me as BiggaBX. You may have known me from my music. You may have known me from anywhere on the internet. From the Bronx, you know what I'm saying? My family is from Harlem.
So you guys are in for a treat because not only is he a content creator of the past, he also is family. He is solely really responsible of how this all really came into effect. If you were in the scene back in the early 2000s, you might have came across his face a time or two or three if you were on YouTube. Let's do the pour out and pour up. Who you gonna pour out for, or who you gonna pour up for?
But first of all, we're going to pour up for you because I'm proud of you and this platform that you've created for yourself, man. For real, this seems like to be a great outlet, man. You know what I mean? And we're going to pour out to our family that we've lost. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say no names because we want this to be an uplifting experience. We don't need to be sitting over here boo-hooing with each other. You know what I mean? So, like, our family, from our family. You feel me?
From our family. And it's been a road with that. So we're gonna pour out for our lost ones. Now, let's do it. On a
Let's
higher
do it,
note,
cousin.
bigger,
Word.
bigger BX. Take us back in time of how it started, why it started, and what was it like back in those times to be a creator.
Well, I got into content creating because I'm an actor, and as an actor, sometimes they want you to have like reels and projects to show the casting directors and stuff like that. I ain't have none of that. So what my idea was I was gonna just use YouTube as a platform for myself so that casting directors could look and say, all right, this is what he looks like on camera. You know what I mean? I was back in, what was that, about 2010? I was living in North Carolina at the time. I was applying to a bunch of different casting projects, a bunch of different auditions, and I learned a lot. I learned that I didn't actually have to have a reel, just something as simple as a YouTube video would suffice. So, I started getting into it that way, you know what I mean? And I knew a lot of YouTubers at the time, you know what I mean? People from like John Ali, David Spates, um, Just Raleigh, Latoya Forever, Emmanuel Hudson. Like there were a lot of YouTubers that I was in tune with at the time. You know what I mean? And I met them all on a streaming website called Blog TV. Blog TV was like a website that was like way before its time when it comes to streaming. It's basically what Twitch is now, but no one was really on streaming at that time. You know what I mean? So it was a cool platform for me to bump into all of these YouTubers. So when I did first start doing YouTube, you know, um, it was a freestyle video that I did, like a little freestyle video on Blog TV, and I recorded it. I posted it to my page, and I had a popular homie on YouTube by the name of BiggaBX. He put the video on his page, and that shot me up to like 500 subscribers off top. So I'm like, all right, so maybe, there is something to this, and people were wanting more and more. So I just started, just giving the content out, you know?
You said Emmanuel Hudson. Isn't that going Wildin' Out?
hmm
He's a Wildin' Out cast member now. Shout out to that.
Yup. Him,
I know
Spoken Reasons, Tim DeLaGhetto,
Spoken
all of them, they all
Reasons.
started out on Blog TV. Yup.
I remember Spoken Reasons back in those times. You guys that were putting out content, it was considered vlogging and blogging. It wasn't a content creator yet. That terminology didn't exist. And it didn't
No.
matter about the camera and the graphics, the technology, like how it is today. You just had to have the camera. It could be glitching, it could be falling on the floor, and you just had to put on. And that's how
Yeah.
you got your audience. Um, it wasn't called viral at the time. It was called just blowing up at that point.
Yeah.
But no one knew at the time what YouTube would have become. So
hmm
it's those Emmanuel Hudsons, it's those Spoken Reasons, the Super Hot Fires, the Bigger
Yeah.
BXs. Um, it's those individuals out there who are putting on first to make it
Yeah.
for us what we are now as content creators, because now people have a voice. YouTube now is one of the biggest streams for TV. Nobody watch standard TV no more. What did you enjoy most about creating content back then?
What I enjoyed most was definitely the being creative part, like coming up with ideas to film. You know what I mean? Like I started getting creative with it when like doing different angles, and like there's one video I got up there where it's like I got my first call, and I'm just basically talking about how much I love the car by pointing out its flaws. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Now, granted, like I was living in I was like 18 at the time, so I'm 32 now. So at 18 years old, I was living in North Carolina, straight from the Bronx. That's a culture shock in its own. So there's no walking to the store, there's no catching no bus. You know what I'm saying? It's straight up, you gotta drive. So for me, when having my first car, I always wanted to be, something real fly, something real latest, but at that time, I figured, I'll be all right with this car. And I'll shoot a video pointing out the flaws of this car to make it funny,
Right.
just the creative part, man. I promise you that, like, just thinking of what videos to come up with, like, what idea can I use for a next video?
I did try the vlog TV era because you were telling me about it, but I didn't feel like I did justice. I didn't feel like I was that funny. I was getting high at the time, so I didn't have the the consistency I could have. I was smoking weed and I was being a teenager. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Not saying that like other teenagers out there didn't have their recreation. It's just they had a different drive than I did. What is the difference now? Like what do you think these content creators don't appreciate about back then that opened the door for creators now?
I would say today's YouTube content creators is different in a way of they film with high quality budget type of styles. You know what I mean? Back then, you grab your camera, you shoot you something real quick, that's the video. Now, they got full on studio cameras and, spending a lot of money for like props in the videos. And, the game has definitely done changed, man.
I don't know how it was back then, but were you able to get monetized back then?
You were.
Or okay, what
For
was the
me,
criteria to get monetized then? Because I know it's a different criteria now.
you couldn't have any copyrights in your videos. Like if you were to do a video, there couldn't be any copyrighted music in it. Um, that's what I remember the most because I wasn't necessarily focusing on monetizing. For me, I just wanted to do the videos for my
Hmm.
film career. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I remember the first video that I did that went viral. You know what I mean? I couldn't monetize off of it because there was a copyrighted song on it. And at that point, I understood. Oh, damn. Okay, I get it now. You know?
Mm-hmm. Because I know there's two different ways you could get monetized now. The first one is the shorter way where you could get 500 subscribers and you have to have I think 4 or 3 million watch time. And the
Oh
other
yeah,
part is you get 1,000 subscribers and I think it's 4 or 5. I don't know because I try not to focus on it because I don't want my anxiety to shoot up and I'm just focusing what I'm
yeah.
doing, but eventually I would hope to get there. But that's a criteria. You can have copywritten content, but you have to have a minimum of strikes. I think it's 3 strikes. But when
Mm.
it's time for you to be eligible for monetization, I think you have to either erase it or critique it where it's not a copywritten strike. Like when I was doing your promotion, it's funny you bring that up. That was my first copyright strike and I didn't understand. I'm like, why did I get copywritten? Then it made sense. It's because I'm taking content from your page. Even though I was recording it from my device because I was trying to be slick, but it was coming from your page, so I got hit with a strike. This is my first one. It happens to the best of us, but it's okay
Yeah.
because it was you. This is a mental health channel. I want to talk about like how you grew up. You used comedy, you used humor to escape your everyday surroundings of environment. You grew up in the Bronx. You have roots inside of Harlem. Living in those environments and still maintaining a positive mindset. How was that for you growing up?
Growing up for me and trying to stay positive, it started with like film. You know what I mean? When I was in the second grade, I did Beauty and the Beast as a school play. I got the lead role for Beauty and the Beast. Doing that play made me realize that people will cheer for you when they're proud of you. You know what I mean? I wasn't one of the best behaved children growing up. You know what I mean? So when I did that play, people were really cheering for me. I was like, this is all right. You know what I mean? Like, I like this right here. So, from that moment on, I decided I wanted to be an actor. You know what I mean? And moving forward, you know what I mean? Seventh grade, I did a play called Hey Little Water. And we performed it a few times at MS 135. Uh, and it turned out to be an amazing outlet for me. You know what I mean? And it kept me focused once I started going to this after school program called Mom Builders. Mom Builders is where I met Ankara Amenhotep from Making the Band, and he was like one of my first mentors. You know what I mean? He passed last year, and I took that kind of hard because I really wanted to be able to have my life in a certain position in order to come back to him, be like, look, this is how I did, so far, this is how I turned out. But unfortunately, I ain't never get that chance to go to him and show him that because he passed. He would have been proud of me and the way my life turned out, because the way I was carrying on back then, people was looking at me like, oh, you don't know what's going to happen with him. But, I turned out all right, man. And, growing up in the Bronx, it is what it is where we from, you know what I'm saying? And every area has got its tough, bad area, you know what I mean? It's all about how we survive it, how we move through it, you know what I mean? And I use my music and I use film to keep me focused on what I want to do with my life, you know what I mean? It was just a blow when we ended up moving to North Carolina, you know what I mean? Because I had so much I had so much that I was in the process of doing. Like I'll never forget it. Like a month or two before we moved from the Bronx to North Carolina, I was in the studio with D. Cole. I was in the studio with Lil SNS. Like I was really just trying to make moves and being a part of that Harlem scene right there. I felt it would have done major work for my music. You know what I mean? So moving to North Carolina just really messed all of that up for me. But then it was also a blessing because going to North Carolina, I got my life together. You know what I mean? I went back to school. You know what I'm saying? I got my diploma. You know what I'm saying? I got my license. You know, I learned to drive out there. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't a total bust for my music and it wasn't a total bust for my film career because come to find out, Wilmington, North Carolina was like a small film town. You know what I
Mm.
mean? They filmed a lot of movies out there. One of the more popular things that they filmed there was One Tree Hill. That's that show that was on WB or whatever channel
Hmm.
that was
Hmm.
on. You remember that? They
Back in the
also
day, yeah.
filmed, yeah, they filmed Idlewild there with Outkast. They filmed Iron Man 3. They even filmed the Inkwell there with Lorenz Tate. You remember the Inkwell from back in the day
Oh yeah, with
with
Lorenz
Lorenz
Tate,
Tate?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And Jada
That
Pinkett,
joint
yeah. Come
there.
on, Morris
Yeah.
Chestnut. Come on, you taking it back? Yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah.
filmed all of that. They filmed all of that in Wilmington. I had no idea about it. So when I thought we left New York would ruin everything for me, it actually just made me focus a little bit more because
Mm,
since it was a smaller town, I had more opportunities. Most of the work that I've done that's on my resume is from Wilmington. You know,
mm,
I did Frat Brothers with Lil Romeo and Mike Sean.
mm-hmm.
Uh, there was a bunch of things that I did out there, man. But Frat Brothers is one of the more popular ones that I did out there. I'm in PA right now, and recently I did some work on a TV show that's on Paramount Plus. It's called Mayor of Kingstown. I did some work on
Oh
there. They about to
shit!
do a
What?
season 5.
Was you an extra? I
Yeah,
watched Mayor of Kingston.
yeah. I was an extra on there, but I'm trying to make it so that I can get me some speaking roles on there. You know what I mean? Because the scene that I was in, you don't necessarily see my face, and that works out for me. Because if you don't see me as an extra, that means I can always come back as a regular. I'm trying to get on that, man. So the grind ain't never stopped, man. Like I may have left New York, the city of dreams, but I'm still working, man. You know what I'm saying?
I love that. I want to dig more into your acting. We
All right.
touched a little bit on the content creation, the vlogging, and like that. We'll get a little bit more back into that, but the acting part. I remember when you said that you wanted to be an actor. And I thought it was funny because I'm like, all right, this
Yeah,
dude
a lot
doesn't
of
know
people
what he
looked at it
wants.
like that.
But I know
Everybody
that
looked at it like that because of who I was.
you're the type of person that you're just cool, calm, and collective, and someone just press record and your whole personality changes. Action.
That's practice,
Oh,
man.
hey, yo, what's up? I'm big up. You're like,
That's practice,
what
man.
the
You know,
fuck?
I've done a lot of I've done a lot of projects, so it's like that
Hmm.
comes with the territory. You know, coming from theater, doing theater in its own, you know, you learn to snap in the character real fast because in
Hmm.
theater there is no cut, there is no, you know, let's reshoot this. It's you got one shot to do it good, and if not, it's gonna fall on you. You know, and
Hmm.
I've had some embarrassments in theater too, like. My co-stars had forgotten their words, and now we were both standing there looking crazy, you
Hmm.
know. But now I done learned that, you know, like if I got a co-star, you know, who forgets their lines or something like that, I could improvise. You know what I mean? But
Right.
back then I didn't know that. But that's where
Hmm.
experience comes from, you know.
Someone I had an actor up here before. James Hicks. He was on the show a few weeks back, and he was talking about reels. Like, and I thought he was talking about Instagram reels, but he was talking about
No.
no. In the actor world, you have something that's called reels for the casting
Mm,
call. You send it in as your audition, and it shows different takes of your material that you've done. Um, do you feel like when you were getting there, you taking your photo shoots, or you have your photo shot? I don't know the exact name, but you'll teach
that's
us. Yeah, the headshot, and then you have your auditions. Do you feel like there was at a point that you were going to get typecasted because of how you look and how you built?
absolutely being typecasted is part of the game, man. That's literally one of the more tougher things about being an actor, getting typecasted. You know what I mean? And with Wilmington being such a small town, I always got typecasted for certain roles, and even like I'd always see the same black actors. You know what I mean? We all show up to the same auditions at the same time. You know, like wasn't you at the last shoot? Wasn't you at the last shoot? You know what I mean? Because it
You was
ain't
the
but
pizza
so many
guy,
black
right?
actors. Yeah, yeah. Like it wasn't but so many black actors in that town. So when they needed somebody to be a drug dealer, they needed somebody to be a thug. You know, of course, you know that's what we pop out for. You know what I mean? It's a part of the game. It's all about paying dues, man. You know, it gets to a certain point where you don't want to do that no more. And that was my issue with being an extra. Like I got to the point where I didn't want to do it no more. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like I wanted to be able to, display my talent. You know what I mean? And I got that chance working with a producer and director that I met in Harlem. You know, he put me in for one of his projects. Hey, Greg over at Jenkins Productions, man, like him, like I got my shot with him. You know what I mean? And it was a little bit of a different style. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like he wanted to not follow a script, but just improvise. You know what I mean? And it gave me a different experience, and I learned from that different experience. Every director is always different with every set that you step on. It felt so good to work with Greg because it was like every set that I ever been to was like a white production. You know, I probably done like what two or three African American productions,
Hmm.
but they're from like North Carolina, Pittsburgh type of deal. You know what I mean? But with Greg, it was Harlem. It was New York. So it felt comfortable. It felt like home and it felt good, man. So shouts to Greg, man. Over
Charles the
at Jenkins
Great.
Brothers Productions.
I was watching Jay Farrow, right? And he had a movie and it touched on some interesting points that in real life this is the conversation. So I forget the movie's name, but it had Cat Williams. He was a star, and so was Jay Farrow. And Jay Farrow was an up and coming comedian. And Cat Williams was like a seasoned comedian, which he is in his own right. There was a few other comedians in there, but the script was touching on like how it was back then to get like on gigs to do bids versus how it is now for comedians. This is the same thing when it comes to acting. You have actors who, understand the rails, understand the territories you have to go through, the auditions you have to take. But now you have the new era where you can just get on social media, create a few funny contents, and show that you actually can get it done, and you can get casted into movies. Do you
That's
feel
essentially what I was doing.
right? Like and like some people they feel a way about that. It's like, listen, they don't respect the craft. They're getting it easy. I don't agree with that. Like Woody from Power. I watched a lot of his skits before like he got on the mainstream, and he was funny. He had personality, and then he got casted. So when I was watching one of his podcasts, what we didn't know is he actually had a performing arts background. He was even a backup dancer. So it's not like he just got up there and he just said, "I'm going to be an actor." You even got journalism. What we're doing now, we're doing interviews and having podcasts, and none of us have a journalist background. But there are people that they have other backgrounds or expertise that you do have to do assessments and you do have to do some type of interviewing. That's if you're
Yeah.
in a health profession or you're in the law enforcement or you're an attorney. You have to do some type of interviewing. So I don't feel like you can knock people, but how do you feel about people who feel like, old school versus new school when it comes to acting?
Well, they gotta grow up and they gotta get with the times. That reminds me of people who don't like today's hip hop. Every generation claim they don't like each other's music. That's just a part of the game. Things are always gonna change. That's literally the reason why I got into content creating because I didn't have any reels. You know what I mean? I didn't have any reels. So if I would do a vlog, talking about certain situations or, do a skit, it was all an effort of booking a new role. You know what I mean? So like the streamers today, like Casanat, uh, Drewski, all of them are doing what, they're supposed to be doing as actors. They may have not started out as wanting to be actors, but with them putting them faces out, then that shows casting directors like, hey, he might be all right for this project. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like I just seen Casanat on the McDonald's commercial. You know what I mean? And I remember watching him and Ron Suno on Facebook. They would do these little silly skits, have me cracking up. And now, Kai done took off. Like that's just a part of the game, man.
Right.
That kind of reminds me of like when actors in the '90s were getting mad at rappers for getting booked in movies, and like do you remember that? You remember
Yeah, I
that scene
remember
in Don't
that.
Be a Menace? That
Yes.
scene in Don't Be a Menace, where he was like, we're endangered species. Why? Because all the rappers are taking all the good acting jobs. That was some real shit that was going on.
Yeah, I
That
remember
was
that
some real
scene.
shit that was going on back then.
I mean, I thought that was the thing back in the day. I mean, everything you do in life, you're supposed to evolve. So I felt like for rappers, you start off as a rapper, MC, and then you graduate to being acting. I thought that's how you do it. You had the Will Smiths,
Nah.
the Queen Latifahs, the Flashes.
Back in the day,
What's his
they
name?
did
Mark
not appreciate
Wahlberg. He
that.
was an actor, a
Yeah.
rapper at a point. So like
Uh,
I thought that's what you do. You LL Cool J, like yo, I'm gonna use
nah.
rapping to be an actor. You know what I'm
Them
saying? I
OG
thought
actors
that,
was not taking that. They was like, yo, these rappers is coming in with no training, just getting these roles. You know what I'm saying?
but
And,
they did a hell of a
that was a real
job.
big thing back then. They
Do you
did. Certain
remember
rappers,
Poetic Justice,
they did.
Tupac, Janet
Poetic Justice
Jackson's a
and Tupac,
singer.
hell
She
yeah.
she did acting too. Who? I mean, come
Oh
on,
man,
let's
I
be
think
honest here. I mean, we know now because he still does it, but do we know Fresh Prince from being a Fresh Prince, or do we know Fresh Prince from being on the TV sitcom Fresh
I
Prince?
know him
Let's
from
be real
being
here.
on TV. You know what I'm saying? That's before
if
our
if
time.
you if you from a certain
Yeah.
era, do you know Queen
Yeah.
Latifah from UNITY, or do you know her from Living
Uh-huh.
Single? Which one is it? So you gotta take it and see. It's like I'm glad that people transition to shows were versatile. So
Yeah.
speaking of versatile, you got content
Mm.
creator, vlogger, actor, music. Let's talk about the music side. You are a rapper. I don't want to put you in a bubble because you could do different genres, but your focus is usually rapping.
Mm.
What got you into creating music?
Oh man, what got me into creating music was simply being from the Bronx in general. You know what I mean? It's a craft that everyone participates in. It's almost like a rite of passage growing up in the Bronx. You know what I mean? So you'll always have certain people doing music or freestyling, and you get attached to the culture just like that. You know what I mean? And you grow up hearing the music, you grow up fans of the music. You know what I mean? And then you start to experiment yourself. You know what I mean? Like I started writing when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and my music wasn't good at all. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like I knew what I wanted to say, and I knew how I wanted to say it. I just couldn't really put it down properly. But the
Hmm.
older I got, the more extensive my vocabulary got. So it made it like even better the older I got. You know what I mean? So like I would say I started writing when I was like what 8 or 9 maybe, and I
Hmm.
necessarily started letting people know I did music until I was like 13. You
Right.
know what I mean? And my music then was just simply just silly rhymes. You know what I mean? Like we
Right.
wasn't really talking about nothing serious at that age. You know what I mean? We was just talking about gangster shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nothing important. Music has always been a part of my heart, man. Like I always say that music is my first love. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Biggie was one of the first tapes I ever had. Ludacris Back for the First Time was the first CD I ever bought. Um, Shit, and 50 Cent was my favorite artist growing up. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So yeah, music is always hip hop in its own has always been my first love on anything. you know. So it's only right that I started to do it myself. And when I started jotting down my own rhymes, I learned a new way of documenting my thoughts and, just, you know, getting out some anger. You know what I mean? Because I done angry music, I done sad music. You know what I mean? I sang a little bit. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
The music ranges from highs to lows, man. You know what I mean? Music for me has always been an outlet. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't necessarily understand that it was an outlet for me until I was actually done writing what I was writing. And then,
Mm-hmm.
when I recited, when I recited, depending on the mood that I was in, if I was angry and I recited something that I wrote while I was angry, I'm all right now. If I was sad, when I wrote something and I sung it out, I'm fine. You know what I mean? So I didn't realize the impact it was really having on me. It was an effect on me. You know what I'm saying? Coming from the
Right.
Bronx, you know what I mean? You surrounded by music. Music is everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Like around that time, we still was hanging tough because you one of my right hand man cousins. So like we not just
Mhm.
family, we friends too. So
Yeah,
I remember at a point, like I like we life was just life, and I would hear that you were rapping. I'm like, we never spoke about shit like that. Like we would just be doing
hmm
dumb shit. We I mean acting or like I won't put it out here. I don't want to ruin secrets that that's us. We taking that to the grave. But
yeah,
there was never a time where we discussed lyricism, but both of us were doing it, and I would hear through the
yeah,
grapevine not just from family, but from people that we were connected with. Because I was hanging out in the Bronx, the section that you were in with you, so your friends became my friends, some of my friends became yours. So I would hear, I'm like, what the fuck he rap? Like, yeah, all right. And I heard it. I heard the songs, and I was like, oh, this motherfucker can spit. Like, you actually can spit, and I'm not saying that because we family, like, it's actually facts. The only thing is that like
thank you.
without you on the outside looking in, because we're gonna touch on all of it, but on the outside looking in, if you didn't look at you, like people was like mixed review where they would say,
Mm,
"Yo, it's fire. It has the kick that you need. It has the concept. It keeps on where you trying to go. However, your tone, you were getting compared to Lloyd Banks. So it was like we
yeah.
already have this. So
hmm
he's fired, but we already have this. So how did that make you feel as far as like creating music?
How that made me feel, huh? I mean, I cannot control my tone of voice. I cannot control my accent. So when I would go into the studio, and I mean go into the studio and just kill it, I'd be
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, they're gonna feel this. They're gonna fuck with this right here. This gonna be the one right here. And then they can start listening to it, right? And they'll be like, you sound like Banks. And I'd be like, yo, bro,
I
like I
remember.
just went in there and poured my heart out, bro. What the fuck you mean I sound like Banks? Because if you remember growing up in our era, there was no biting. You could not sound
No,
like somebody. You could not rap like somebody. You couldn't have somebody's cadence, nothing.
no.
And so what I started doing to get away from that Banks comparison, I started rapping in a higher pitch voice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it worked, you know what I mean? But there was still a certain way that I wanted to do my music without being compared to Banks. You know what I mean? Like I
Mm-hmm.
always got that, man. Like
Right.
that, even with my natural speaking voice, it's like, oh, you sound like Banks. But in today's age, they be like, oh, you sound like Pop Smoke. And it's like, yo, bro, like, yo, this is
They
how I
don't know what
talk,
you
son.
want.
What you mean? Like,
Yo,
and then
you
I
want to
get like,
know what's funny? What's funny is like when I was rapping, I would show people like my demos. That's what we called them back then before they was EPs. Um, They would say I had to sound like Mace or Fabulous. I hated that shit. So it's just
yeah,
like, damn,
I
like,
always agreed on that Fab. You always
right.
did
So
sound
I'm
like
just
Fab
like,
to me.
damn, like,
But I
I
know
mean,
how
I
that
don't
shit
know if
hurts,
my
so I never
bosses is
told you
quoting
that
this
you
is
sounded
like,
like
yeah, you can
Fab.
tell that ain't Fab, but Mace and Fab, I'm big fans of both. So like, I did listen to them, but I didn't mimic what they were doing. I wanted to stand out, so I empathize with
Exactly.
that thought. It's like, damn, like I'm not them, but like by technicality, because of my tone, I'm fucking like cast it out, like. So it's like
Yo, and
I
then
put
it's
something
it's
out.
fucked
It's
up
just like,
because
oh, Lloyd Banks, oh, Jada, and they're like, so it's like, no, it's
yeah,
me. Like, well, we already have
because
you.
it's so fucked up because what really fucked me up is I tried so hard not to sound like Lloyd Banks, and I remember saying to myself at a certain point like, okay, Lloyd Banks ain't put out no music in a long time. So maybe it's all right for me to try to, go back to my original style. Nope,
Okay.
because fucking Pop Smoke came out, baby, welcome to the
Hmm.
party. And now I'm like, oh fuck, I
Oh
can't even do
yeah.
that
No,
now.
you missed that
Oh
bus.
man.
You missed
Yeah,
that
I missed
bus.
that bus like a motherfucker, didn't I?
Hmm.
Baby,
The
welcome to the
crazy thing
party. That
is,
shit took the fuck off, man.
what worked for me was instead of changing the tone, I changed the pitch. Like
Yeah.
I just started to formulate like Fab, like he has this suave smooth shit to him, and Mace got
Hmm.
that. So like what I would do is I'll try to yell higher, like higher than that,
Yeah. That's exactly
and
what I tried
also
to
spit
do.
faster. And like just like I was trying to incorporate like this Jada Kiss type of Cassidy type of
Mm.
Jim Jones type of style, and it worked for the most part. But I didn't like at that part I started just getting high and being in the outside. I didn't want to take the music. But you were
Yeah.
like getting back to
Yeah.
you, you were I remember like you had some songs that was bumping, radio
Yeah.
ready. Everything was decent, and like taking out of like walking away from the Lloyd Banks side, motherfuckers did say you had it. Motherfuckers did back you up. You started to actually get management. You was getting a team. You were doing things on your own. I had a brother. You remember him, Gabriel Rivera, the guy who I was doing my acting of like the stupid ass kids with. He came up and he was talking about just being done wrong by the music industry.
Yeah.
So you had a taste of that yourself. Like, do you want to talk about that?
Um, what I could say is I didn't hit my full potential when it came to doing my music. You know what I mean? When it came to music, you know, when I put out my first LP, I didn't give it its full potential. You know what I mean? I didn't put all into it as I should have. I had a lot going on. There's always something going on in my life that,
Hmm.
you know, pushes me back and makes me back off from what I'm focusing on. So I didn't really reach my full potential when it came to it. Um, I don't know, maybe sometime in the future I may just start getting back into it because I got so many ideas, man. You know what I'm saying? I got so much that I want to do. Hip hop done changed since we were kids. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I don't necessarily want to conform to this whole drill era of music. You know what I mean? I like it though. I like all of this drill shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I fuck with all of it, but I don't necessarily want to go that route because I'm 32 years old now. I ain't running nobody down right now. So it's
Right.
like I don't know. I want to get back into my music because I miss the grind of it all. And when
Hmm.
I listen to my old music, you know what I mean? I think about how, I wanted to go so far with this and, I didn't. You know what I mean?
Right. I want to touch more on it. I think you was being modest, and it's not my story to tell. But I remember, trying. Yeah, I know you trying to like not talk about. I want you to talk about it. It's called Let's Talk About It for a reason. Like I remember being so happy. I knew you was about to catch the break, and you did say you wasn't taking it, where you should have. But I felt like you were. You just had obstacles, and where I'm getting at is you were working with a team and you came out with your song like one of your number one singles to date, and they robbed you. I feel like they robbed you for your art, and you kept that quiet for a while. I don't know if it's because you guys made amends, whatever how it is, but it just shows that when you're an independent artist or just a person who comes from nothing and someone is in position to give you something, it's also to where like they also take as well. Like they're not gonna know. They
Mm,
don't know anything. Like we
mm.
just gonna give him what he wants, like a little taste. That's it. Um, do you feel like that took you out of the realm where you could have been, or do you feel like it was just a casualty of the game?
Not necessarily
Now you
always
gonna
just a
tell us
casualty
what
of the
it is, or
game
you
because
you just gonna
I
let
was
me hit at it like that? Because I know you're not trying to talk about it, but I'm making you in a sense.
Hey man, I look at it like this, man. I'm always create content, whether it's film related, music related. So if anyone steals anything from me in any manner, it's I. You know what I mean? Because I'm gonna make more. There's always gonna be more. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's why now I'm saying like, I want to do more music because I got a lot more to say now. You know what I'm saying? Like I got a lot that I want to talk about. And, I jotted it all down. I formulated it into a song, and now I'm ready to start recording like how I used to. The therapy that I got was, you know, being able to listen to my own music again. Because when I would sit back and listen to the music that I wrote and recorded, it was just like a way for me to realize this is what we're not gonna go back to. You know what I mean? Like I got songs
Mm.
where I talk about
Oh
suicide.
wow, yes.
I got songs where I talk about,
Mm-hmm.
parental issues. I got songs where I talk about relationship issues. You know what I'm saying? And going back to hear them, you know, reminds me of the mindset that I was in at that time. You know what I mean? And for me, it's like a constant reminder to this is not what we're gonna go back to. So it's therapeutic to
Were
me.
you
So
depressed?
absolutely, being
Oh,
depressed and doing music, was definitely the outlet for me. It's not
oh,
nothing that I really talked about, and got help with as far as like counseling and things like that. Because, in our culture, therapy ain't a thing, so for me, my therapy was the music, like how I just explained, going back to listen to what I wrote, it always gonna put me in that mindset of this is not what we're going back to. You know what I'm saying? So battling depression all throughout my 20s, even now, you know what I'm saying? And, I got other ways of doing things now. You know what I mean? Like I didn't since I'm nowhere near a studio, like I got different outlets on how I deal with my depression. You know what I mean? I may go outside, go for a walk for a little while. I may go out there, shoot my basketball. You know what I'm saying? And other ways of cheering myself up, but I ain't
right.
taking medication for it. Like taking medication for depression may work for some people, but it ain't
Mm-hmm.
working for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it's like
No, keep
it'll
going.
leave
Sorry.
you drowsy and all. I tried it like back in 2015, 2016 to do that whole medication for depression type thing, and it wasn't for me. It just spaced me out like a zombie. So I had to find new ways, man, and I did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to interrupt, but like this was
No,
news.
it's cool, it's
Like
cool.
for me, I mean, around that time we talked all the time, and
Yeah,
we young, and I didn't know what I knew now. I don't think any of us did. We just enjoyed each other's company. We was just happy to do
exactly.
something. I'll pass off the cameras relatable. Like
Mm,
we could relate to each other because we were each other's voids and filled in those spaces that were empty. But
yeah,
yeah, I didn't know that you were suffering from depression.
yeah,
I had
yeah.
no idea that you said something about suicide. Were you suicidal at a point?
I'm not gonna say that I was suicidal to the point I was ready to attempt it. Let's not put that energy in the air.
Okay, let's not.
Let's put it where it was almost an option, you know. But with me being the person that I am, I'm always seeking something to make me feel better. You know what I'm saying? I'm always looking for an outlet. So if
Hmm.
I'm by myself, you know what I mean? I'm gonna figure out a way of how I'm gonna get through something. You know what I mean? Even if it's isolation, if it's going to the movies, if it's going to play basketball, whatever it is, I'm gonna get myself together. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? But in my song, Your Own Life, I touch on that a whole lot. And in my
Right.
song Depressing, I talk on stuff about that, how what I was dealing with at the time and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And the depression done changed because back then, it was those situations from a 19, 20-year-old man, and now it's the issues of a 32-year-old man. You know what I'm saying? So things always gonna change, man. Being strong is always what we gotta be as men. You know what I mean? We can't fold. You know what I mean? Especially
Right.
from where we come from.
Hmm.
There is no folding. There is no being no coward. You know what I mean? And I've always been the person who's going to stand up for himself. You know what I mean? That's just
Right.
something that followed me since a kid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I've always was gonna make myself better, always try to reinvent myself, always try to heal myself in any kind of manner, you know?
Right. I mean, we can share on air because I'm always vulnerable with the audience. But before we even do that, I see that you dodged telling us what happened with that single, but it's okay. You gave us enough, and which is okay. But we remember what you guys did. You out there now. Vulnerability. I know me for my depression came from neglect and having abandonment issues and not dressing very well, being teased in school, and I would utilize other areas to like seek that attention and act out. um
Mm,
I felt, and seeing this is on the outside looking in, and I won't put too much in it because we keep it on us. It's not
mm,
us to like put any other stories, but for us, I felt like you had a great life. Like I felt like your family. I came to your house to escape my reality, and I felt like I was kind of rich in a sense. Shout out to your mom. Like that's my cousin, but she's always been like a sister to me and a mom at a point. And I
mm,
used to feel good. I used to be happy that like I was going to get clothes from y'all because that meant that I'll be going to school looking drippy for a little bit until I run it down, you know. But it was also
yeah.
to where is that like that was my escape, and now looking at it and hearing what you're saying, like I feel a little bad that like couldn't recognize it because I was young. That maybe you should have came to my
We were
world,
young. We were young, man, and
and
as
that's
young kids,
unfortunate.
we don't notice these type of things about each other because that's not what we're taught. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I like that you touched on that situation about when you would come to my house, you'd feel all good because nigga, when I'd come to your house, I'd feel all good because there was
Yes.
so many people there. You know what I mean? And I love that you bringing up this situation because it's something that you know that's really near and dear to me how we played off of each other growing up because you like to come to my crib because it would always be just me, you, and my mom's, but I like to go over there because it's always you, Davina, Dion, or y'all over there. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
with me, I basically grew up by myself. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like when my brother moved away when I was 10 years old, I had to learn to play the game by myself, had to learn to walk to school by myself, had to learn to eat dinner by myself. It was so much that I had to learn to do on my own at 10 years old. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
when you would pull up, it was like, all right, cool. Cuzzo here, I got somebody to talk to. You know what I mean? And then when I would start going out there with you, it was like, yo, this is it right here. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Be out there in
Right.
Harlem with y'all, right across the street from Central Park and shit. Like I'll be telling people like, yeah, I used to be over at my uncle house across the street from Central Park.
Right.
They like it's nothing. What you talking about? Like little shit like that, man. Like, cause I
It's
grew up by
crazy.
myself. I
It's
grew up by
crazy.
myself. Like
Yeah.
growing up by
No. Keep no.
myself,
Keep
like
going.
growing up by myself, man. It was like I don't know. I've always had like some girl to talk to, or you know what I mean, somebody to keep me company in that sense. But it was always an empty feeling that I had. You know what I mean? So if I could go, with you or go with Corey to Mount Vernon, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
I was always good. But if I would stay up in Parkchester, being a crib, it wasn't good for me. You know what I mean? Like I needed to be around family. I needed to be around love. And that's why being around Davina and Dion, Uncle Dave, and all y'all, man, that shit really, felt good, man. Cause if my
See.
moms wasn't at work, I was by
Hmm.
myself, man.
Yes.
I was
I
by
remember that.
myself, like,
But do you see the difference? Like
yeah.
your mental health and your stability of the mindset came from being on my side, where mine was the total opposite of what you looked at. You looked at being on my side was a necessity. Where I looked at it as like being on your side was a necessity. Where you're looking at,
Yeah.
you got all these cousins and you got all this fun and you get to interact with people. I'm trying to escape it because I love my brothers and sisters and I love my cousins and
But you want
everything,
you a break.
but you're fighting for attention. Like there's too many players. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Um, because of how we grew up, so many of us, we always had to make it. Wasn't never about the presentation of a meal. We just had to eat like
Yeah.
out of big pots and everything like that, and
And
there
I
was no
fucking
such thing
love
as
that,
eating out.
man. Yo, when Uncle
So
Dave
going to
would
your
make that
house, I get to
goulash or
eat
that
out. I get
macaroni.
to play video games. I get to go outside. I don't have to
Yeah,
fight for attention because all I have is you and your mom, and I get all the
yeah.
attention I need and some clothes too to go home with, and my
Yo,
hair done.
listen.
So
I would say I've eaten from every restaurant in Parkchester probably 10 times. All
yeah, I
right.
ain't with you.
Every restaurant in Parkchester, I done ate from them about 10 times, man. You know what I'm saying? So going over there with y'all and Uncle Dave would make that big old pot of beefaroni. I was fine
Hmm.
eating out that pot, nigga. Fuck you, mean? I was
Do you
fine
see
eating
the
out that pot
difference
with all
though?
y'all.
Like it's
I
different
was fine with
traumas.
eating them pancakes, man.
And I was
Don't
fine
look
with
at it
living
like
your
it's
life. Like,
traumas. You
let's
know what
trade
I'm
it.
saying?
See, you don't
I would
see
have
on
been
the other
fine, man.
side. When we're talking about it, we can laugh at it now, but here is the things
Yeah,
of like growing up in these environments, growing up with these traumas that like your trauma is my prosperity is something I look forward
yeah.
to, but not knowing that it was a trauma for you. And that's why I'm saying how we recognize that, I probably would have had a balance to where, okay, this weekend we could go over here and then next week we coming
Yeah.
over here, or we could spend a day over there, and then we come over here so we could balance that.
We were sort of
Um,
doing it that way. We were sort
yeah,
of doing it that way, but we
like
wasn't
after
looking at
a
it as
while
a
because
standpoint of,
you pushed it after a while, and I didn't understand it because I was like, why would you want to come here when we don't have no money? We sleeping on bunk beds and we eat out of big crock pots where we could have luxury here. We got
yeah.
computers and AOL and we playing video games. This is the life. But I
Yeah.
didn't
I
realize
feel
that,
that,
like,
man.
because of you growing up being alone. Shout out to your brother, because we're not gonna discredit him, because he's a good bro. But that's your relationship
Mm,
to discover. But we on you. Growing up alone, though, I didn't know that you needed that socialization. Me growing up with
mm.
so many, I needed that isolation. I needed that
Yeah.
solitary.
That's an amazing
So
way to put
like
that. That's an
we
amazing way to
helped.
put that.
Um, we don't want to spend too much time on that. I want to talk about that album again a little bit more. We're gonna run to another concept. I'm not gonna not that part, not that part. I'm gonna leave it alone. I did wanna say that, and I'm not holding back on it. Like your lead up, you had like these bangers that was hitting the radios and like blowing, and like everyone was talking about it at the time, and then you come out with this album, which now you're telling us like what was it about? Your PR and like getting ready for the lead up versus the album. I think you know where I'm getting with this, but
Yeah.
it was like night and day. Like you got us all hyped with this partying and the girls, and you show up with this depressing and like suicidal material. And like
Yeah.
I listened to it over and over, just trying to understand it. And I was just like, his mother is gonna whip his ass, or she's gonna understand this because he used this as a diary to air clothes out. He's telling our business. Like I was hoping that he has like you ain't have shit that see how that's how real it is. I'm talking like you not even here. It's like I was hoping ain't no shit in there about me. I'm like, I was saying, hope he ain't say no slick shit, but that's just art. And yeah, hearing that kind of like opened my eyes for a lot of shit that I wasn't aware of, and I had so many questions for you. Remember, I used to call you a lot, like, yo, bro, what's up with that? I'm feeling the songs, but I'm like, what you meant by this? And why you talk about this? You got to break it down. I'm just like, that depression song, yeah, it was like the title speaks for itself. It was depressing to like you don't want to turn it off because you want to listen to it. Like, what else he gonna say about some shit? You know what I'm saying? And the songs just kept going in that format to the point I was actually rooting for like some uppity shit. Like, oh God, please, like at least like something. But I'm glad that you put that out there. It's documented somewhere. But like, yeah, I don't understand. I just want to know, like, why did you put out so much of this? Like, you manipulated us. That's how I feel. You put out all of this great stuff, and then here you come with the album. Was that on purpose?
It was on purpose. It was a way of me changing my sound. Because you know what I'm saying? Like I said, like I was trying to get away from that Lloyd Banks comparison. You know what I'm saying? Like I was trying to really get into a different space, a more mature space when it came to my music. Like I was really trying to channel something deeper in me that would channel other people. You know what I'm saying? And like people would hit me up like, "Yo, this song really did it for me, bro. This song really did it for me." You know, and some people would say like, "Yo, I was crying after I heard this song because I could relate to it." You know what I mean? And that's what changing my sound meant for me. Like if there was somebody that could say, "Yo, your song, your own life really did it for me, man." That's all that mattered to me. You know what I'm saying? Because the music that I did before my album was really just young teenage music. It was just the young wild of us. You know what I mean? And I didn't even curse on that album. Matter of
No,
fact,
you didn't.
I I don't think I used any profanity on that album because
Hmm.
this is what my uncle said to me one time. He said to me that, people who curse in their music only curse because they ain't got nothing better to say. And this one time he gave me this vocabulary list and he said, I want you to rhyme all these words.
Hmm.
And I did. And I did it on that what beat was that? That Nas is like beat. I did it
Is
all on that song.
is this uncle who I think you talking about without mentioning his name?
Yeah, Uncle Biscuit. Uncle
Oh
Biscuit. You can say
man,
his name,
yeah,
that's
you
cool.
mentioned it, but yeah, he's always
That's
him and
cool
my brother.
because
They
Uncle
always want to challenge people to do something. But
listen,
big ups
but
to him
for
because he
for for
did. He was
Biscuit,
a big responsibility in my life as well. Like that's not just my
exactly.
cousin; he's my brother. Like he helped me a lot too. But yeah.
Exactly. So with him being my only male role model growing up, you know what I mean? When he challenged me to something, I showed up for it. And
Mm,
I did it. And after I finished writing that song and using the vocabulary words that he gave me, you know what I mean? It really did influence how Lincoln Six Echo turned out. That's why it
mm,
sounds the way that it did because I realized like, yo, like I really can switch my shit up and be all right. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? So like because certain music, I was just on some street shit. You know what I mean? I was just on my hood shit when it came to it. And I didn't have to do that. That was more so of me just doing what the sound is like. When me
mm,
and Corby was doing music and we was doing the whole survival of the streets movement, you know what I'm saying? It was survival of the street shit. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? Like we was doing that type of music. So when I was on my own after parting ways with them, it was like now I'm in a space where I can mature my sound. And all for the help of my uncle, shit, that's exactly what I did. I matured my music because he challenged me
mm,
to it, and I did. So family can listen to the music without being, ashamed of hearing the curse words. Because there used to be a time where I would post on Facebook and I'd be cursing on
mm.
Facebook, and they'd be like, "Can you believe he up there cursing?" So they wouldn't support my damn music because of that. You know what I mean? So
That's
I
why I left
started to
Facebook
change
for
it up.
years. Yup, so I can do what I want.
Yeah, I mean,
Without
I
people
did what
knowing, yeah.
I always
Hmm.
looked at it like, I don't mean to disrespect our family when it comes to like cursing and whatnot, but it's not
Hmm.
only our family on our social medias and it's not only family that's listening to our music type of deal. You
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like it's people that, I grew up with, you know what I mean? It's people that know me, so it's like we're going to a party. Facebook at that time was like going to a family party and trying not to misbehave. You know what I mean? It was that type of
Wow,
deal.
that is
So
a good analysis. Wow, that's crazy.
exactly.
That makes me
But I
want to
wasn't
leave it
playing that on
again.
my Facebook.
This is why I don't post. Cause I feel
I
like,
mean, I
bro, like
think,
the elders, like I respect my elders and stuff, but it's like these younger kids now that we mature, they worse. I be watching my little
yeah, a
cousins
lot of them don't
twerking
believe
and
me.
smoking weed. I'm like, anybody say nothing about this? Cause they damn sure would have called me like, yo, I mean, grandma wouldn't like this. I'm like, yo, they
Yeah,
super twerking. But like,
yeah.
yes,
But we
that is
adults
why
now,
I have
man. So it
Facebook because
was
I
like,
didn't want people to not let me smoke. Like, let me smoke my weed and drink.
I
I
was
get
gonna
it.
do what I needed to do, regardless to whatever people were thinking, man. Because I'm gonna be me at the end of the day. I'm not gonna, sugarcoat who I am. You know what I
Right.
mean? And To know me is to know me. You know what I
Yeah, but
mean? To know
he
me
was
is
a
to know
wild
that I'm gonna
card.
say what I want. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
how
he
it
was a
always
wild
was.
card. You put your life on display in front of the world before I knew that this was content. I'm like, he's got to be the most craziest person, or he is a genius.
I left out a lot, man. I left out a lot. Trust me, there's a whole lot that I fucking left out, man. It is I could really say so much and put out so much, but that's not what I was into. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
my thing about mentioning depression and my suicidal thoughts and whatnot is to encourage. You know what I mean?
yes,
Is to inspire because we all going through some shit, man. You know what I mean? We
hmm,
all going through something, and people who feel like they alone in it. Hell no, you ain't.
no,
Please, the way I grew up, I always mention being 10 years old when my brother left
hmm,
because that's when I had to learn to be alone. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't know how to be alone today. Listen, I'm in
hmm,
Pennsylvania, middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, by myself, no family. You know what I'm saying? And the only way that I know how to be alone now is because of how I grew up. If I didn't grow up learning to be alone at 10 years old, then I wouldn't survive the way I've been surviving out here now. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Like I came out here, to be a father to my children, and doing so, it left me in an isolated space. And that's
hmm,
fine because I know how to do this shit. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Because as a kid, this is how I grew up. And the craziest thing about being in this town by myself is you fucking randomly being here. You fucking randomly being out here. And it
Oh
really just
yeah!
like,
Wow! Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
it,
I
it
was
put
out
me,
there in
it put
PA a
me,
lot. Yes, and then
it,
some
it put
ironic
me in a
way, I wound
space.
up in the town you was in. That was crazy. Yeah,
How the
I met
fuck
your
does that
baby
happen?
mom.
Yeah,
That was God. That was
like
God.
exactly. And at that time, man, I fucking needed you, man. So for you to be there was like, this is how it was when we was kids. I fucking
Right.
need you to pull up and you there without even me like, yo, Todd, pull up, spending weekend. Like you
Hmm.
really just would pull up and be there. And I'm like, all right, bet, Todd here. You about to play the game. You about to chill.
Hmm.
And the same shit happened out here in this town. You know what I'm saying? And it was, yeah. If it wasn't for me growing up the way that I did as a kid, I would not know how to survive out here right now. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
It's all about taking that. It's all about taking that trauma and painting it to look like something that you can gain something from. You can continue to lean on things and say like, oh, it was bittersweet for me, or you could take it as a
Mm,
lesson. You can like utilize it in a positive way, and I'm glad you've done that. Cause yeah, I'm cracking jokes about growing up, with a bunch of people and like not having a lot, and but yes, later on in life, it made me appreciate things more
hmm
than people. There's a lot of people who's never been without that doesn't know how to be without, and then when they are, they don't
Exactly.
know how to handle it. They think it's the end of the
Exactly.
world because they don't have a complete portion size plate. Like all the vegetables is missing. Oh, we don't have the French fry.
Mm,
We don't have the garlic bread to go with the spaghetti. And I'm like, I didn't have no idea that this was the complete spaghetti. I just thought you just slapped the shit together. You know what I'm saying? Like you sitting here crying because you ain't get a PS5. I'll be
yeah.
lucky if I got a joystick. What the fuck is
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Hell
Like
yeah, man.
you ask some people like what like shit like that. I like to make humor of it, but you gotta laugh at the pain so you can embrace the reality and like understand like that's that inner child, but that doesn't have to be the adult. And I'm glad that you did that.
Yeah.
Fatherhood is very important and is taught, especially in our black community, is that we have absent fathers. So I'm glad you chose to stick it out and to stay over
Yeah.
there. One day I get to
Yeah. I'm
hold
doing
your
my
other
best, man.
child and relive my pictures that I have with the
Hmm
youngin. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That was the thing. Um,
You were the
I
first
wanna,
person in the family to meet my daughter.
yeah,
You
I
were
was
the
happy
first
about that.
person of our family to meet my daughter.
I remember when you told me, um,
Hmm
yeah, because for like as funny as you are, you also like a emotional wreck. So I remember times feeling like, yo, I hope this nigga don't cry on me. Like, yo.
Yeah, man.
Well, I love you too. Look, let's check this out. I wanted to touch on these music things. As depressing as your album was, you did have some stuff that was fun. You did have some good bangers though. You had One More Day. I like that song. That One More
Yeah.
Day. I hope that
That
wasn't a
was my
call
first
out for
attempt.
like what
Call out
attempt?
for what?
Like I
That was
hope
my
it
first
wasn't a
attempt
call
at
out.
Christian music.
Okay, good. Because I was just like, all right, oh, I hope this wasn't like one more day left. Then we're going. But I wanted to correct myself because I was jogging my memory about the album. You did have "Cheat on Your Man," "Cheat on Your Man,"
Mm.
"Cheat on Your Man," "Cheat on Your Man tonight."
Hell yeah.
So you were condoning people committing adultery, cause yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were depressed, but you were still like having people who commit sin. Like you could be with me and then go back to him. Well, I understand. We were there before. I get that, baby. I get that. But I
Exactly.
want to
That's why
do.
that song is the way that it is because it's basically, what we've all been through. We've all have dealt with a chick who's had a boyfriend or a husband or something like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I felt like I was just going to record it and put it out there because at that
I
time that
mean,
song was written about somebody. So for
it
me,
was. I mean, most of
it
your
was.
material, I noticed that it's like it's taking shots at somebody, except for the take it
Yeah,
off.
it really
I
is.
enjoyed that. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to leave that link inside of the bio because that's my favorite song to this day. It's my playlist.
Yeah.
You know,
It
I'll be
was a party
listening to
song, of
it.
course.
Everything just fit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was a
And you
party
know, some
song,
of your
so of
bosses,
course,
I remember one. You was like, I just know we went like her bar went over there, her pants went over there, something went over there, she was singing over here. I don't want it
Yeah.
now, I want it there. I'm like, oh, okay. Like you was spazzing on that part. I'm like, oh yeah, like da, 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 da,
Yeah.
da. So like there is a song out there, and I just want to tell you like if you ever hear it, that, yeah, I did copy a style at a point, because I liked the song so much, but I just kept it for me. Like I didn't try to bring it out and stuff, but like I didn't copy it verbatim, but I like kind of like made a Harlem remix. But because the
Yeah.
song was so booming, I'm like, well, I don't want to throw this out there as a paying homage, and now I just fucking messed up your rhythm. But like
Yeah.
I like the song so much that I like copied it to my own version.
That's
But
hip hop, man. If you would have did that, that would have been fine. You know what
yeah,
I
but
mean?
I
It would
didn't
have been
want it. I
like a
didn't want to do that.
remix type of deal.
Cause then on
Yeah,
top of
that's
that,
all right, man.
I was like, nah, this song was too fire for me to even like. I know I probably no, not to, I got an ego to me. I'm like I probably could finesse this shit good, but I'm just like, nah, I want him to have
Yeah.
this because this is great. Now we're gonna jog a little bit of memory before like we start wrapping up. Um, you also do or did? I'm not sure if you do it still. You did dance. You danced. You danced.
We dance, nigga.
We
We
danced.
dance,
We
nigga.
danced.
That was
Now,
probably about
here's a
as long as
story
it lasted
because
with us as the Lord.
we're gonna touch on a few things before we wrap up, but like this is some stuff that's been asked about behind the scenes. Actually, before we even get into that, I forgot to mention because I see it in my notes. So me doing a promotion, me bringing you in. There were people who were inquiring between Facebook and YouTube because those were your domains. So I get the DMs. This is real shit, and they like, "How'd you find him?" Like, I've been looking for this guy. Like, no shit, and I'm just like, I found him. And I like to really not throw the relation card inside like how people do because for the
Mm,
simple fact like I want to get it on my own and then have that element of surprise like yo they do have that connection, but I wanted people to figure me out for me. That's why I don't normally name drop unless I'm giving flowers out, but don't even say how we even connected. Even if
yeah.
whether they A-list or like independent or you know them like just from like your communities. I want to get my shine first and then shine with the person. So I never told them that we were family. I just said, yeah, I found them. So
Yeah.
another person, there was only one person that asked me, cheap. He asked me a few years back. Like he was like, yo, I know Bigger, like who was that? And then I threw it out and he was like, oh, he's coming back. And I'm just like, we'll leave that too. I was like, I don't know. It was five people who were just inquiring about like what you were doing, and then there were there were two trying to figure out how we were connected. So you told the audience here that we are family, we are cousins. Like Your mom is my cousin. You're my second cousin, and my dad is your uncle.
Mhm.
That's how we're connected. Now y'all know. Getting into digging into your content, I was reminded about the dancing, but there was a question that was asked because throughout the years you threw this fit. I want you to tell your story about you didn't get to finish your dance, right?
Oh. Oh man, that's
It's
what
a
I mean
funny
by we
story.
used to dance. It is a
We used
funny
to
story
dance.
because we had our own little dance group the way we used to be up
We had a
there,
dance
you
group.
know, Harlem shaking it and shit, you
Hmm.
know. But I remember that, and we put together this dance routine for Grandma's 80th birthday party. May God rest her soul, and her birthday just
Yes,
passed.
rest in peace. Yes.
We put this dance routine together to G Dep Let's Get It. And we was up there, hitting it and whatever, yeah. And at a certain point of that routine, you get your solo while I just stand there, and watch you do your thing. And everybody is like, "Go time, go
Yeah. Oh
time,"
yeah. I had a few. I
and
had a
I'm
few
like,
moments
"Yeah."
like that. Yeah.
This nigga here. But I was like, yeah, yeah. Soon as it's my time, I'ma kill it. Soon as it's my time, I'ma kill it. I got up there, I started hitting it, and the music said, "Ear." I was like, yo, now what happened? Where the music at? They was like, oh, they cut it off because there was too many curses in the song, and I was like, nigga, I was about to
Wow.
kill it, bro. Yeah,
Wow.
that was that era, bro. That was that era when the
Hmm.
when the shake was the thing, man. Shake was the thing, man.
Oh my
I'll pay a
God. I
million
felt
dollars to see
so
that tape.
bad. I felt
Yo,
so
cause they
bad.
was like, nah, fuck that. Cause they was like, go time, go time.
Nah,
And
I
then
ain't gonna
as
lie,
soon as it was time for me,
that
they
got's
cut the
hype. Like when
music.
you doing your thing and throwing it, yo, and then we
Yeah.
even remixed it and threw our little cousin Diane, who was a baby at the time. Like,
Yo,
yeah,
and Diane
I
was
knew
in it too. Yo,
we
listen,
was still in the cause
you
for those of y'all who don't know, our family is huge on drama and performer art, so we be having like our own little fake ass
listen to
music
me.
awards. So when
Listen to me.
you walk in the family gatherings, people be screaming for you and shit. So I be trying to like come late,
Listen.
I get that from my dad. So when I walk in the door, people start yelling at me. You what? Yeah, what's up? You know what I'm
You and
saying?
Diane got y'all shine, bro. You and Diane got
Yeah.
y'all shine off. And
Hmm.
it was like, so, because I remember, damn, it's all coming back to me. Like, because I remember we
Don't
both
get
had
mad
like
all over
split
again,
off.
nigga.
Nah, we both had backed up, right? And it looked like we were going to be done dancing. And
Yeah.
Diane would run up there and do
And
her
that
little
shit,
shimmy
woo!
dance.
Mhm.
Everybody started going crazy.
That shit
You
went
know what I mean?
wild. I didn't
Hell
expect
yeah.
that. My dad has it on footage. Yeah.
Man, I got to see
Yeah,
that,
he even
man, for
has the
real.
part where you looking on post. I'm like,
Yo, like,
but I didn't know
I
what
don't even think
happened.
I ever seen the footage.
I see the footage. It's still funny to this day. Like it's in there. Like you gotta ask my brother. He got it's in there. But I do record the moment. I do my thing. Diane comes out when they thought that we were done, and then I just heard the music go lower. So I'm like, oh, like what? I didn't know that they gave us like a few minutes, and then I just saw your
Yeah,
face and I saw our cousin who was out there. I'm not gonna, she was the DJ, and I was like, oh shit. And all I know is we went back to your house, and that's all you was talking about for like a week. But even that night, at least your grandma, I love her. She tried to let you get your solo, but she was like, it ain't the same. It
she
ain't the
didn't know,
same.
man. You know what I
Whatever,
mean?
but
She
she
didn't
ain't know.
know.
She just saw her grandson hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But throughout the years, I said, yo, I never got my solo. I never got my solo. It was one time I even thought. It was one time I even thought like maybe we should just like do a remix to it, get Diane, me and you now, and you could do your solo. But the
That'll
time
be
never
something
came.
good. For
But
us to recreate that, that would be something that would be dope
I
for
mean, we could
social
try,
media,
bro. Like
man.
I'm not
Well,
skinny like
us
I
as
was back
adults
then.
doing
So if
that,
I try to fall back and you might drop me. That was cool. That was cool back then. But you know.
go
And I don't want
time,
Diane
go
remixing
time.
and shit to, come
Man,
up
look,
there. That's twerking working. Like that's it's different eras now. You know what I'm saying? But
Word.
that was a
Diani went
funny
crazy.
story.
You
Thank
went
you for
crazy.
sharing it. Another rub with stardom. Another rub with stardom. You I was doing my performing arts and I gave you my tape. And for y'all who don't know, this is the guy who took my CD and never returned it so I could put it in Best Buy so we could get promoted. What did you do with my CD? You said you
I'm
found it. I was
sorry, man.
happy. I told Gabriel. He's like, oh, yes, because that was the only tape we had so we can actually get it done. And I was excited to show you because I know you was like heavy into acting. And I was like, yeah, I got to show him I got it too. Like, we going to collaborate. We going to do this.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, like through the years, I don't know. You just like hijacked me, bro.
I
I
ain't
know you
mean for
didn't
that to
mean
go
it.
that way. I remember that sack DVD. Y'all niggas used to crack me up, bro. That
Hmm.
sack DVD, you know, because that was around the time where Jackass was a big thing. Wild
Yes.
Boys,
Hmm.
Johnny Knoxville and them was a big thing. So to see kids from New York doing that, and it's actually funny, you know what I mean? It was that I love that damn DVD. Now I'm not
I loved
even
it
too
too.
sure what happened to it. What happened was we moved to North Carolina and that thing just got mixed up in the bunch and just got pushed aside.
Mm,
I feel like it was in my car at the time, and when I sold it, it may have still have been in there. But that
mm.
may not be the case because there's still stuff at my grandmother's house that I haven't been through since New York. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So there's still stuff that I got that's in my room at my grandmother's house that I haven't been in yet. You know what I mean?
Well,
Because it's
if
been
you
so
find it
long.
now, it just be nostalgic. I mean, at the time we were going hard, and we were actually about to cut. Well, Gabriel like was about to cut a deal with Best Buy in Circuit City, and he was gonna have the DVDs
Yeah,
in there. But we were really banking on that because that's what had like the music video, the extra footage, the Alicia Keys
yeah,
brought in like all this shit. So we were proud of it. And
yeah.
yeah, you last thing I remember you just said it was in the attic. But that I'm gonna use this. This is like a Vlad TV moment. I had Gabriel talking about it, here you are. I'm gonna put that on the clip, like, yo, this is what he said.
Yo, cousin,
Um
word to everything. I'm sorry about that, man, for real. Because I remember when
I
you were
know you're
asking me
sorry.
about it.
I'm poking
I
fun.
remember,
I'm poking fun.
but nah, because I did feel bad because I remember when you were asking me about it, but you were asking me about it during times where I was going through some shit. And it was
Yeah,
like,
you was
I'm not worried
tapping
about
back
that
at me
fucking
like, yo, bro,
DVD
like,
right
is this
now.
a DVD? It ain't that
Yeah.
serious. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm about to be rich, motherfucker. You
Nigga,
saying that
remember the
now? Like,
details,
it's just
man.
a DVD to you.
Hell yeah.
Me
Yeah,
jumping
I'm
out of
sorry,
trees and
man, for
falling
real.
in the alleys, that was about to get me paid, brother.
And flying through fucking shopping carts.
Oh God, yeah. When
Hell
that
yeah.
episode aired with me and Gabriel, and it jogged my sister's memory. She was just as astounded as she was back then. She was not happy. She was like, I remember that shit, and like I don't think it's funny now. Like you could have died, and I
Yeah.
still thought it was funny. Like, oh shit, that was cool. Like it was Jackass. Who didn't want to be with Johnny Knoxville,
Yeah.
and Steve O and them? Come on, but
Uh-huh. And with the New
I
York
wouldn't
twist on it too, that
exactly
made it everything. And I mean, at that time, man, that editing your man Gabriel had, like the editing and the thought for shots, like damn,
hmm
like yo, like he was really ahead of his time at that time. It wasn't no social media at that time. It wasn't no YouTube at that time. You know what I mean? So him editing the way that he was editing was like, yo, that shit was a way ahead of what people were doing. You know what I mean? It
right,
was almost as if he had experience in film editing. You know what I mean?
right.
I
But
didn't
no,
start learning
those were
film
funny
editing
moments.
until North Carolina, man. You know what I mean? And again, man, I
Facts.
apologize to you about that because at that time, man, I was going through some shit. You know what I mean? That was a rough transition going from New York to North Carolina like that. That was a rough transition, man. It was a
No,
culture
it's all
shock.
right.
It was an
It's okay.
emotional shock. You know what I'm saying? Because now I actually want to see the damn DVD. So the next time I'm in North Carolina, when I go to my
Yeah, you
grandmother's
you look
house,
at that.
I gotta look. No,
I'm a little
because listen,
somebody right
also,
now, so that actually, might pay the way. Let people know, yeah, I've been doing this shit. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, it'll
Um,
be great for you, man. Because also, I got some VHS tapes that are missing that I need. Like I
mm,
mentioned doing Hey Little Water, I mentioned doing that. There's one soul tape that has that actual performance on it, and I need that shit. You know what I mean? And I can't figure out where it is. You know, it's not at my mom crib, so I'm thinking maybe it is in my grandmother's house. You know what I mean? I just have to get out there to look for it. You know?
Okay.
So
No,
yeah,
it's all
hopefully
good.
when I come across that tape, I'll come across that DVD because that sack DVD was it, man. That was it.
Yeah, it
Hell
was
yeah,
it. It was it. But this ain't about me. I'm sharing some stuff with you because I'm having fun. It's about you. This been
yeah,
years in the making, waiting for you to get on this camera. Like this, like I said, it
yeah,
turns in a full circle. Like decades ago, you were there, and then now I'm
mm,
here, and like now you're sitting on my platform. Instead of
mm-hmm,
me watching you on the TV, I'm on TV with you. That's a blessing. Like,
yeah,
that's beautiful to me. Like, we are not too far in age. I am older, but you were older when it came to the craft and like
mm,
putting yourself out there. I wasn't that um motivated. I didn't have that courage to put myself out there at that time. But you
yeah.
did, despite whatever you was going through. Flowers to you for that. I want to touch on
Thank you.
something that we never spoke about, but I started speaking about it a little often. Like I want to say for the past 3 years. This is something we share. Is coming out of nowhere because like you're not. We never spoke about it. Our eyes, right? A lot of people throughout years they've made comments about like the way my eyes look. Like always look high, always look like I'm sleeping, drowsy.
Yeah,
I know this is something that we both can identify and relate with. That like people might have said things that made us have a complex about it.
mm,
I've learned to embrace it now, but there was
mm,
at a point in time where I used to get embarrassed. It also caused me some social anxiety because
mm,
I didn't want people to start making comments about like how low my eyes were. I'm just a kid. Yes, I know now that at the age of 6, kids smoke weed, but I wasn't smoking. I
mm.
wasn't smoking at that time, and it was something I struggled with growing up until I got older. I mean, I still got girls, I still got bitches. Don't get that wrong, but
Yeah,
it was something that like if it was something I couldn't hide no matter how much I wanted, because it's like right there. Um,
yeah.
you sharing that with me, like what is something that you could tell someone out there who might have the same, um, situation as us when it comes to that?
Ain't nothing wrong with us. All right, ain't nothing wrong with us. We all got features that other people ain't got. That's fine. Everybody got different features. Ain't nothing wrong with us. Ain't nothing wrong with our eyes. Ain't nothing wrong with nothing about us. We all good. You know, we all built differently. We're all made differently. Ain't nothing wrong with us. So when we were getting teased for shit that we ended up having complexes about, it was never a big deal. We were kids. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? And but I can say that when I got teased as a kid, it turned into bullying. And with it turning into bullying, it turned into me standing up for myself. And when it turned into me standing up for myself, I became the fucking bully. You know what I mean? Because no one was gonna make fun of me and get away with it. You know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? Because you know what it's like when somebody make fun of you and everybody is laughing.
Everyone's
Yeah.
laughing. I'm from
And
Harlem.
I,
Come
wa-
on,
I
man.
was, hell yeah. And I was never quick with it when it came to being funny. You know what I mean? My funny is always calculated. Like I gotta pace out what I'm gonna do for something to be funny. So when there were people who would snap on me and I say something back and nobody laughs, but when they say something, everybody laughs. It gave me a complex that I'm not funny. But you know what those funny guys could not take from me? That I could fuck them up. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? And I realized when you fuck somebody up, they'll leave you the hell alone.
Mm-hmm.
They'll leave you alone. And
It
that
was the
just kind of
difference for
opened
me.
up.
Man, I mean, you from the Bronx, so like that's all y'all convert to violence. Like you always been like some type of ticking bomb. Like you always, but I'm from Harlem, where you could fight someone and they
Please, and
still be
Harlem was where I
roasting you
was
while they
fighting
getting their ass
everybody.
beat, or like right at your sneakers still got a hole in them. Like they, yo, your sneakers is just as beat as you beat my ass. Like they still going. Like it's like there's, you gotta like people. I'm gonna have someone up here from Harlem like who could explain that shit. He fly. He'll tell you how it still is. Like in Harlem, roasting and joking is to survive, to get somebody off
And
you. Doesn't
listen,
matter if you can fight.
listen.
In the
I
Bronx,
started
however,
fighting
that's all
people.
y'all do. Oh, you said something wrong? Click, click, or boop, boop. So it's like,
It was in Harlem where I learned that. It was in Harlem where I learned that ain't nobody gonna make fun of me. It was in
yeah,
Harlem where I
because
realized
them
that
jokes
people
hurt.
are all laughing at me and them jokes exactly them jokes
Mm,
hurt. So it was in Harlem where I learned if you punch somebody in their motherfucking mouth, they're gonna leave you alone. I
yeah,
learned
they
that in
gonna
Harlem.
chill
That wasn't in
and
the
snap on
Bronx.
you
You
later.
know what I'm saying? I learned it in Harlem and I brought it to the Bronx. You know
Love
what I
it,
mean?
love it.
Because I wasn't funny. I wasn't funny. I wasn't quick witted like that. But I could fight. You know what I'm saying? And
You
I
definitely see the difference on TV though, because like yes, you are definitely introverted in person, but on screen, like I said, it's like that camera goes on, it's like shit. But
that's
naturally,
all
what you don't
calculated.
know is you are naturally a comedian. It's funny because you be so serious. It came at a point where I didn't want to laugh because it was at a point like you were stronger than me, and I didn't want to laugh at you, and then like you try to fuck me up. But there's times where you being so serious and it's funny because everybody think it's a joke because you just have that personality to where it's like you very sarcastic. You blurt things out of turn that everybody's thinking but not nobody's gonna say.
Right.
Like we could all be sitting at the table and somebody made some spaghetti. You'd be like, "Yo, this spaghetti it's kind of bland and like everybody else tastes a lot of salt." So I was like, "This motherfucker don't know how to shut up." Like nobody no, no, nobody. Who made this spaghetti? So it's like what? They'd be like, "Oh,
I don't know
how
how I
was your
became
day,
an
bigger?
introvert.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, I just stepped in a whole bunch of shit with these new sneakers on, but I'm all right." It's like, how are you? So it's shit like that. I gotta get that. Like
Yeah,
you make it humorous with realistic situations. Before we end it, I'm gonna ask the $1 million question that we've all been sitting here waiting for the whole time.
so
Now, with this new era and everything that's going on, I'm making a dramatic pause. Are you coming back?
yeah, man. I've made I made my quiet return in a different way rather than being on YouTube and making skits. I've turned it into me doing cooking reels. You know what I mean? There's videos of me making food and stuff like that. There's videos of me going to concerts. You know what I mean? It's just different type of content creating, versus me being in front of the camera the way that I used to when I was young. You know, Now it's mainly just me doing videos of my favorite meals. I came up with this idea for this little series of videos called Comfort Food. Comfort food is basically the meals that I like to make, the meals that I like to make when I'm going through it. So that could range from tacos, it could range from baked ziti, meatloaf, just your favorite meals, my favorite meals. I make them. You know what I mean? And cooking is another outlet for me, man. Like if I'm going through it and I make a dope ass meal, I'm gonna feel all right at the end of it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? With me being out here by myself, what I'm saying? I don't have my grandmother's cooking. I don't have my mom's cooking. You know what I mean? So I had to learn to do a lot of things on my own. Being young, I knew how to cook when I was young. You know what I mean? But it was never to the degree of what it is now. You know what I mean? Like I could fry me some chicken when I was young. I could do me some bacon. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
I always could rely on my mom coming through and doing the real things like the collard greens, the macaroni and cheese. You know what I'm saying? So when I
Mm-hmm.
got stuck out here, you know what I mean? I had to really, focus on how I'm going to do that. You know what I mean? How I'm going to do that food for myself. Because
Mm-hmm.
it'd be holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmases. I'll be missing, a good old pot of greens. You know what I'm saying? So I really had to learn to do all of that shit out here. And once I learned how to do it, it just gave me that comfort without having to go home for it. Like when I did my first sweet potato pie, the shit was hitting, and I'm like, all right, it ain't nothing like my grandmother's, and ain't nothing like my mom's, but it'll do. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Because I
mm.
don't want no damn pumpkin pie. I'll tell you that right now. Give me the goddamn sweet potato pie. You know what I mean? I don't want no mashed
Amen.
potatoes or no Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? I want the damn collard greens. You
Right,
know?
right.
I don't
Listen,
want no damn tuna casserole. You know? With a
there
ham
you go.
hocks.
Start to act up. The fat boy coming out.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm done.
listen, yo, bigger. Listen, this is an honor. Like, I held it together the whole time. We shared laughs, we joked. I had a lot of people who's come up and blessed like the show for me, and not taken from any of them because I'm close to all of them who came in. Some I have new relationships with. Um, this was the most not vulnerable, but the most that hit close to home. Like going jogging down memory lane and getting to interview someone that like I admired inside of the camera, and I got to watch, and I got to not only talk shit to my homeboys and stuff about an album that came out. I was able to give you feedback, and for you to say thank you. I can actually call you and say I heard your album. I can, yo, this is my cousin, showing that.
Mhm.
It hit different. If any of you guys probably got those family members in your family, you would know that. I mean, I'm pretty sure you know the people who's related to Beyonce, related to Dave East, and you know related to Gorilla, you know related to Lola Brooke. You know, going down. If you're related to these individuals, you know that feeling of what it feels like to be like that's my family. You know, and I got that for a long time, and now you have that. So there y'all go, ladies and gentlemen. We got the answer we wanted. The return
Mhm.
of BiggaBX. I really thought
Yeah.
you was gonna say no. So I was prepared for either
Nah.
one, like a championship, like
I came back. I
so I
came
got
back in my
balloons for
own way.
both. You know what I'm
Look,
saying?
my thing now is just that I'm not so public with it. Like a lot of stuff that I do is on my IG, and that's
Yeah.
mainly just me, because I want to know who my audience is. You know what I mean? Like I don't desire that attention from random people anymore. You
Mm.
know what I mean? Like
Uh,
that's not really my thing. So the videos that I have been
wait.
dropping, the reason why
So,
they're not so popular,
mm-hmm.
it's because they were on my IG. Like the videos that they aren't so popular because they're on my IG.
Okay,
But
so you're not
eventually there's
returning
gonna
back to
be a time.
YouTube.
No, no, no. I'll eventually do that.
Okay.
But I
Are you
am
gonna come on
content creating.
TikTok?
I see they about to ban TikTok, so we screwed up in the game when it
Oh,
come to
that's
that.
something. Oh, all right. I might as well get off
Yeah,
that.
yeah. You are.
I was having
Yo,
fun
we
on there
listen.
anyway, but like
We
shit,
we
I
we
might as
talk.
well. I was there. I was just learning TikTok too. It took me a long time.
I love
Uh,
how we talked about
I
the
guess.
whole passing the torch thing and how this is full circle for how
Mm-hmm.
you love my videos and how you watch me do it, and now I'm on your platform.
Yes.
One thing that I do want to talk about real quick before we close up
Yo,
is
we got a little bit more time. I just wanted to give you your respect and like respect your
thank
time.
you,
And I wanted us
thank
to have
you.
a conversation off air too, because I
Oh yeah,
miss
of
you,
course,
and
of course.
I don't want to
I
be
miss you
talking up
too,
here
man.
all
You
the
know what I'm
time when
saying?
the
We could
world's
always
hearing
talk.
us talk
I
about some
know,
shit.
I know. I'll be in my
But yeah,
moods where I don't be feeling like talking and whatnot, but hell yeah, man. I'm always got time for you, cuz. But to
oh, of
touch
course.
back on what I was saying, as far as passing the torch kind of deal, I want to give a big shout out to motherfucking Dion Santana, you heard? Because I've been fucking with the movement. All of the
Oh
music that he been
yes.
doing, I fuck with it OD, bro. And
Uh,
shit,
yo,
we ain't gonna
this.
forget
Oh,
about
you
that.
know what?
Remember how we was like how we had our time to do music?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Now he got his time to do music and I fuck with it, bro. You know
You
what I'm saying?
know,
So shout outs to Lil Cuzzo, man. Also big shout
his.
outs to Scotty Pimpin', you heard?
I
Uriah
wanna,
do
I
his
wanna
music
tell you
too.
something.
Shout outs to Scotty Pimpin', you heard?
I want to tell you something, and like I've been waiting. I mean, he gave me the permission because like he toast on himself. Shout out to Dion Santana, stunner no
Shouts to
baby. Like
Dion Santana,
I
you
get now.
heard?
Here's the thing. I got two things because just like me and you, this is crazy. For people who don't know, then they don't know. But people don't know that we are also related.
That's fine,
How crazy!
man.
Now
If he
this
is,
is
it
crazy
could be
because
need to know.
that's
It could be need to know
see,
basis. That's all
Bigger
right.
BX is my cousin. But yo, do you see this?
Yeah.
Like me and my sister was talking about this the other day. First of all, I love it, but then on top of that, it's like we have some type of familiarity with the genetics if we close. People don't know that that's my brother.
Mm,
We are brothers, like blood brothers, same mother, same father.
hmm
It's crazy. But I love that like no one really knows that relation. You only know if you saw pictures of us together.
Yeah.
That's one part. So that's crazy. He's gonna come up one day. We gonna talk about it. It's weird. That's
Yeah, I
a
wanted
weird
to
one.
shout him out. I wanted to shout him out. I want to shout out Dio because we we the adults now.
Yes,
You know what I'm
Dio. I
saying? And
remember
the
he was
craziest
heavy,
shit,
heavy, heavy. Hmm.
Dio was a little kid doing these freestyles. You know what I'm saying? He was a little kid just randomly freestyling. You know what I mean? And he grew up to be somebody who could really put together a fucking song. And I fuck with the movement, OD, bro. You
He
know, he
does
go by Scotty
engineering.
Pimpin now. He
Scotty
do?
Pippen.
I,
Does he do
I don't.
engineering? I don't know what he's done over the past years, but I heard about him in the streets and he's been doing pretty well.
Oh, I don't know about that side of it. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'll be in my
Yeah.
bubble. So
Yeah,
whenever I'm
last
in that,
last
reach
I
out
heard
to
he was
little
doing
cousins.
engineering and he owned a studio. That's what I've heard. I don't want to over talk it, but Dion
That's what's up.
Santana, he discontinued music. He
What you
discontinued
mean?
music. Yeah, that's what we all thought, and that's why I'm gonna have him come up here one day. We're gonna
Yeah,
talk about it. But
he
he
wildin'.
still does it, but he's not chasing that anymore.
He lost the
He
passion. That's what.
discontinued.
It's all right. He'll get it
I
back.
mean, he said. I
He'll get
mean,
it back.
I won't tell his story for him, but he does have other ventures that he's doing right now. It's in the works
Mm,
right now. I'm not gonna spoil it for him. I'm gonna let him be his own mouthpiece. But yes,
mm,
he's no longer focusing on the music. At least not him as an artist. Um, but him as even just like in the scene, he's going in another direction. But yes, he was heavy. I was very
mm,
proud of him too when he stepped in the scene because he's a person that didn't care to do music. He didn't even want to rap, like one of those pop smoke movements where he's just, people who just felt it, he wrote it, and then it was something good. Like it wasn't something he had a
mm.
passion for until he realized it was. But I want him to tell that. But yeah, like if he catches this, shout out to Stunner, shout out to Scotty Pimpin, and shout out to everyone out there that's in the music scene trying to make something as an independent
Hell
artist.
yeah. Hell yeah.
But back to shout out to you. Shout out to BiggaBX.
Yo,
But before we end this, I didn't. There's another question that, like, if we forgot to ask,
what's
what,
up?
like, who is BiggaBX? How did you come up with that name?
Well, yeah, I mentioned in the beginning that Biggie was one of my first artist tapes that I had. Ready to Die was one of the first tapes that I ever had. And Biggie was definitely one of the bigger influences on me when it came to music, simply
Mm-hmm.
because he was my introduction to owning hip hop, if that makes sense. Like my first cassette tape was Ready to Die. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? So I used to, always, you know, mimic his music, and I would always try to do my own style when it comes to his music.
Mm-hmm.
For a while, I went by. I've had many different AKAs growing up. You
Okay.
know what I'm saying? I've
Yeah.
had a bunch of different AKAs, but that bigger part comes from Biggie. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like if you remember at the beginning of Brooklyn's Finest, it goes jigga jigga bigger bigger nigga. How you
How you
figure?
figure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I took bigger from that
So you
because I
hijacked the
was
shit.
always, yeah, it's sort of, it's more of paying homage. I don't like that terminology usually.
I'm
Yeah,
messing
God.
with you. We ain't trying to do
Like,
the
like to this day, I wear Versace. You know what I'm saying? Simply
Yes.
because of Biggie. You know what I'm saying? Like I've always worn Versace because of Biggie.
Wait, are
You
those
know what
the
I'm
same
saying?
glasses that you have when you was in that video throwback, or you just reincarnated? You just bought it again?
These are new. These are
Oh,
actual
let me find out you
eyeglasses.
still got the nostalgic colors. Because if you
Now
remember in the video,
the ones I used to wear back in the day, those
yeah.
were shades.
But
These are
yeah, then they
actual
had the
glasses.
shade part in it. Like,
Yeah,
you go
those were
ahead.
shades. These are
Hmm.
actual eyeglasses. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, so it
So
says I.
when I saw these drop, it was like, oh, I'm copping. You know what I
Hold
mean?
up. I mean, you giving it almost to Biggie. Let's see if you real right about it. Do you keep a Coogee in your closet?
I never was into Coogee. I never was into Coogee.
I mean, you
Shouts
heard
to
what
Big.
Jadakiss said. Because of you, I got the Coogee in my closet.
I
Yo, I ain't gonna
was
lie, I don't
never
got the
into
Coogee
Coogee.
in my closet, but I'm about to get one. I was too broke to buy one before, so I'm gonna get my first
Hell
Coogee.
yeah, time to boss up with
I'm
it.
gonna just be. I did have a Coogee sweat. Do you remember I had a Coogee? That shit was fake as
I
fuck,
remember
bro.
your Coogee sweater.
Yeah,
I
yo, I
remember your
was
Coogee
proud of
sweater.
that shit because that shit was fire until like my boy Darren DP, shout out to DP, like he was like yo Todd, that's fake, bro. I'm like fuck. I started wearing
uh,
that shit. And I was like, damn, but like, yo, I was proud of that Coogee. But yeah, as an adult, yes, I am gonna get the Coogee, keep it in the cut. I mean, I had one before, but when I was like 23, but it was a vest, and I wanted the sweater. You know what I'm saying? The
yeah,
sweater to be
yeah.
authentic, like bigger. But
I remember that. I
all right,
remember it.
you
But
remember
let
that
me
fake
touch
ass
on.
Coogee?
I don't remember it being fake. I just remember you with the Coogee because that was around the time where you used to fucking do backflips and shit,
Oh
jumping over
yeah,
gates and shit like that. Your acrobatic ass. You used to
yeah.
jump. I used to have a pogo stick, and you would go up the steps in the fucking pogos. Like,
Hell
nigga,
yeah.
that's why I
I can't
remember
do
that
any
damn
of that
Coogee
now.
sweater.
I'm too fat. But I know you didn't. You gonna catch on the episode that like I got a trainer now. You know what I'm saying, and I'm gonna see how long we could hold in that. You know, it's just to get. It's funny. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see because we've been down this road before, but I'm like, yeah, like I'm gonna try it. We gonna do a few weeks, and then
Yeah.
I'm gonna come out with the results. Like I don't know. We doing a 90-day trial right now, but yeah.
Well, I wish you luck on that, cuz. Let me touch
Hell
back on
yeah,
my
I
name
wish
real quick.
myself luck too. Cause
Let me touch back on my name real quick. All
go
right.
ahead,
So
yes.
I had a bunch of different AKAs. You know what I mean? It was always like, always something that had to do with J. It was like Lil J or Young and Violent. Like I had so many different AKAs. So when I started to incorporate Bigger as my identity, I went by like Young Bigger. I went by J Bigger. And what made me drop it all and leave it at just straight Bigger was my man Marley. My man Marley came to my crib one time because he knew I had a camera. He came to my crib and he spit the craziest fucking freestyle, man. And in the freestyle, he goes completely off of the freestyle that he had already written. He said, "Yo, Bigger, record this. No bullshit. Marley on his hog shit." And I was
Mm,
like, I like Bigger by itself. That's gonna be my name. But see, I
fact.
was on Blog TV. I was on
Mm-hmm.
Blog TV, so I couldn't just have Bigger by itself. I always had to do like underscore BX with it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Just because when you're on a streaming website like that, you know what I mean? You want to let people know where you're from. As New Yorkers, we always tell people where the fuck we from. It
Yeah,
don't
facts.
matter where we are. We
Like
always
come
telling people
find
where we're
me.
from.
I'm outside. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's
Yeah. I
how,
mean,
that's how I came
I
up
had
with
no
Bigger,
idea.
man.
I just was like, all right. I mean, I'll just call you bigger.
Yeah, that
Cool,
was
and
my
I
name, man.
respected it. I'm like, all right, cool. Like that's what it is. You had that for years. I just
Yeah.
I never really understood, but it makes sense. Like you're a fan of Biggie Smalls and you're from the Bronx, Bigger BX. I get that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Um, is there anything else you wanna touch on before like we end this? Like, is there any positive affirmations you wanna give out? If you wanna touch more on your content, where people can find it, what type of content you gonna give? I know you said what it was and where you're gonna be at, but we were laughing in between, so let's say a little bit more clear. So you could throw something out there for anybody who's looking to return or looking to come in this new era of content creators, and tell them where to find you and tell them what type of content to expect from you.
As of now, you could probably follow me on my IG. That's BiggaBX. Um, Follow me there for like the exclusive content that I'll be having. You know what I'm saying? But I'll make my return to YouTube soon, because I got a bunch of ideas that I want to put together. I want to come through with more budget filled videos. I want to put some time and effort into the videos that I want to put up on YouTube. So as of now, things that I'm doing is strictly straight up on my Instagram. And what I want to say before we close is I am proud of you. I'm proud of you, cuz you know what I'm saying? We come a long way. You know what I'm saying? We come a long way, B. You know what I'm saying? And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you in this platform that you don't come up with. I'm proud of you for your drive, your motivation. You know what I'm saying? The way you carrying yourself on through this interview right here, proud of you, man. You know what I'm saying?
Thank
And
you.
hell yeah, hell yeah.
Hell
We
yeah.
come a long way. We come a
We
long way,
have.
man.
I'm gonna cut you
We
off
both
before
got
we
our own
cry up here,
story.
cause we ain't crying. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing
Ain't
good
no
the whole
tears,
time. You ain't
man.
about to fuck
Niggas
up.
is gangster, you heard? Ain't
Fuck
nobody
it up,
crying,
man.
man. We thugs
You know
out
what I'm saying?
here.
I love you
You know what
too.
I'm
You know what I'm saying?
saying?
So now,
I love you, my
now you
nigga.
know. But like I said, I've been
Hell
giving you
yeah.
flowers the whole episode. Thank you for that. Like that means a lot coming from you. Like a
Facts,
lot.
man. I love
You
you, my
like
nigga. Listen, keep this shit up here.
you my friend. You my family biologically, but you also my brother. You've always been. And
Absolutely.
I'm glad that I got to have this on air. This is on tape. Unfortunately, I didn't get to catch my dad because the world would have loved him. But I'm gonna
Yeah.
catch the good side of anyone I admire, anyone I look up to, as long as I can help it. And I'm gonna have it on wax so people can see this. You know what I'm saying? You're one of those people that the world needs to be revisited to and reintroduced to. And I'm glad that you decided to give me the exclusive to let you back before you start getting back on these other platforms and they start giving
Mm,
you, the shine that you well deserve. So
mm.
actor, content creator, father, musician, Bigger BX was in the building. With that being said, I'll leave his comments in the description. That concludes another episode of Let's Talk About It. So don't forget that you'll catch all the episodes on all platforms that you know that I'll be on, like Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, Amazon, Camcast, iHeart, and Apple Music. And with that being said, I love y'all, miss y'all, peace.